Good morning, financial tech skills students. I'm going to show you the steps for creating your budget mod. Okay, so you're in Excel and we're going to type our heading as is shown in the mod directions and just click down to the next line. Notice that I'm capitalizing. And it says note to creator, you'll change the subtitle each time. Okay, then down here I need expense. I'm going to hit tab. I need amount. And I'm in the exact cells that it shows me on the directions. So now I'm going to pause so that I can save you time watching me type, and then we'll go through the formatting and the formulas involved with this spreadsheet. Notice that we're on sheet 1 of our workbook. Excel is a workbook. It's made up of different worksheets, and you can see in your directions that we will rename these sheets. That's what they mean by a different subheading every time in our budget. So I'm going to pause and get back to you when I have this data entered. Okay, welcome back. I have most of my data entered. One thing that I did want to show you in terms of entering your numeric values right here, if you use your numeric keypad over on the right, and I see I'm off here, 555, 60, oh wait, gas is 60. Sorry for the delay, I gotta check my data here. So electricity is 55, gas is 60, water is 65. Okay, well, I'm demonstrating to you what I had wanted to. If you use your numeric keypad over on the right, you have an enter key over there as well, and that's usually the fastest way to enter numeric values. Okay, I have intentionally made a mistake, and I put these numbers in my C column. Anytime that you go to make a chart, which we're not doing a chart in this module, but we will with the Excel spreadsheet on down the road, anytime you make a chart, you need to have your values right next to your words. So if I come up here between my two column headings and I get my split arrows, notice my cursor changes, and I stretch these things out, you can see that I have my information one off, and that's why I had gotten confused before. So I need to make some adjustments, and if I look at my sheet, all of these values all the way up to water, gas, electricity, those are all correct, and I want to get my cursor in the middle of, select that, get my cursor on the left edge, and I get my 4 arrows, and I'm going to just pull that over. So that's how we move information. I'm still off one, so I need to get rid of the 55 for rent, and I need to move over my 500. So just showing you an easy way to move your information. Now I have my words and my numbers adjacent so that if I did need to make a chart later, I could do so. I'm going to right click right here and insert a column, and this would not work well to make a chart. It won't understand those blank cells. So I'm going to hit delete. Okay, so now we can see on the directions that this, and I'm clicking on the one for the row, this row appears to be in bold. This row appears to be in bold and italics. This row appears to be in bold and italics and centered. And because I'm choosing the row number, it'll do the entire row. Okay, the next thing is this heading is merged and centered over the entire spreadsheet, but there's also some words over here in the E column, and I intentionally left this information out so that you could see that when you take a guess and you're not sure if you're in E8 or E9, always look up here and it will tell you. So on the directions it says E8, and we're going to type monthly income, and it's all in one cell, and I hit enter. Don't worry that it doesn't look like mine, just like the other information. Always get it in there and then format it. Okay, so it would appear, I'm going to left click in the middle and pull. It would appear that all of these are in italics and bold. Okay, there's something going on with monthly income because on the directions it is stacked, and that is called text wrap, and text wrap is right up here. Ask for wrapping text. It also looks like, I'm going to left click and drag, these are centered, just like these were. Okay, so now there's a feature called Merge and Center, and because I know that my spreadsheet goes all the way over to E, I'm going to left click in the middle of the start point and I'm going to drag to the middle of the end point, and that would tell us that that's the area that we want to merge and center. And I'm going to do the same thing here. You always have a start and a stop point. Don't click the two, because this spreadsheet goes really, really far to the right, and then when it merges and centers, you won't even be able to see it on your screen. So start point, left click and pull to end point, which we decided was E. And then I'm going to text wrap. And actually, we're going to have values in here, so I should have went to F. So I'm going to take text wrap off and take that all the way over to F. Take text wrap off all the way over to F. That's my mistake. Okay, so you're given your monthly income for our first sheet, and before we fill those in, let's go ahead and rename this first sheet, and it is less than high school. So I'm going to right click. I could do tab color and get fancy, but for now we're just going to rename it less than high school. So this is my budget with a less than high school salary. I'm going to left click to activate this one and then right click for rename. This one is average salary for those that do graduate from high school, and you all better. And this one is if you get your master's. Keep taking cap locks off on accident. And that's as many as it gave me, but you can see right here it says I can insert another worksheet into this workbook. Okay, and then this one is if you go to a lot of school and you get your doctoral degree. Okay, so back to less than high school. Before we fill in any of these formulas right here, we're going to copy this shell over to these other tabs or worksheets in our workbook. Okay, first we need to make some adjustments to total all the way down to average. Looks like those are right aligned in the cell and that those are bold based on our directions. So now when you look at the directions and you look at my screen, these might be in bold. I think we look pretty close. So now what I'm going to do is I could left click and pull, and then I can right click and say copy, go to my next tab, right click and say paste. So that's one way to quickly get that information. Notice that it did not save my column formatting, which is fine. I just pull that over. And now we can take this one and I can click on this to select the entire spreadsheet, and I can right click and say copy, just showing you different ways, and then I can say paste. And when we select the entire thing, for whatever reason, it keeps the, I can just say paste now. It keeps that column formatting. Okay, so I've got my doctoral, my master's, my high school graduate, and my less than high school. And all of those shells are basically the same, except this information you'll go and change for all of them. We're going to keep the same heading for this one. When you get here, you'll need to change that to high school graduate. Okay, so now I need a formula that will total up the amounts for my monthly expenses. Right up here we have auto sum. I can just left click it, and it takes a guess, and it puts these range parameters, as you can see in the formula, B5, which indeed B5 is my rent, through is represented by a colon, B14. Now, could you type in this cell equals SUM, left parentheses, and all of that? You bet. Okay, I'm going to click on the arrow or the check mark for enter, and it tells me that my expenses up above are $13.45. I can copy, and copy is done a little bit differently than that move. This is move. If I hold down my control key and get that same area of the cell, you can see that I changed to a little plus sign, and so then I'm going to let go, and I had my control key there. Oh, it's not happy with that, so I'm just going to enter the value. It doesn't want to copy that formula. So we know that my monthly income, my monthly expenses is $13.45. I'm going to click delete. Our monthly income was provided on the directions on the page 3. And we'll do a formula for balance in a minute. Okay, so total, that formula was equal sum B5 through B14. And now we'll do max. We're going to go to the same area but pull it down. And notice that it guessed wrong, because if we want to know the maximum value out of our data, we would never want to include total. So I'm going to put my cursor in the top part of the computer's guess, and I'm going to pull all the way through so that I'm just getting my expenses. And we have equals max B5 through B14. This is enter, and it will give you your answer, and it will stay in that cell, which is very beneficial if we're going to do any filling, and we don't do any filling until your next spreadsheet. So I can actually hit the enter key, and it will show my answer and move me down one, which is more applicable for us right now. So let's eyeball up ahead. Is 500 our maximum of expense up above? Yes, it is. So our formula worked correctly. You might wonder why somebody would put formulas for max and min when they could easily just look at their data, but think of a huge spreadsheet, like for benefits payroll. Your employer would not want to pay you to go through a huge spreadsheet to find answers. They would want you to do a formula. Same thing for min. We want to know the minimum value. It guessed wrong again. So I'm going to left click and pull and tighten that up so that indeed it is B5 through B14. I'm going to hit enter, and now let's look up above. Is 50 our lowest expense? Yes, it is in entertainment. Okay, now I want to find the average of all my expenses. I pull down to average, get my guess correct, and hit check mark. Okay, now we need balance. I'm going to hit the equals, which means that I have a formula that I'm building instead of one of those that it will do for me. And I want to take my income, so I'm going to left click it. It puts B8 in there, and I'm going to subtract. I typed in the subtraction symbol, my expenses. And then I want to stay there to see the answer, so I'm going to use the check mark. So that means that if I do not graduate from high school with these basic values for my expenses, I would not be able to make it in my budget. I would have to really cut back and make some adjustments. So there's our plug that you need to graduate from high school. Okay, when we look at this, we want to say to ourselves, these numbers don't look correct for a business spreadsheet. I'm going to go into my number launcher. I do have the dollar sign right there, but I want to take you into the number launcher so that you can see all the different ways that I can set up these values. And I'm going to say currency. It automatically defaults to 2 decimal places, and you get to choose how you would like your negative values to be shown on your screen. So I'm going to choose in parentheses and red. It's your own personal preference. And I say OK. Now I look like I have a spreadsheet that is more conducive to a business document. Okay, so then now what you will do on your own is you'll go to high school graduate. We have to click in A2. Remember, even though we merged and centered, that information was entered in A2. And I want to come up here and I want to say backspace, delete, and it should read high school graduate. Whoops, spell right. But you will spell check when you're all done. Spell check is in every program. Okay, so now we're on the high school graduate tab. You'll practice those formulas again. I've changed my heading to high school graduate. The monthly income is supplied for you in the directions. You know your total expenses will be carried over there. You need a formula for balance. You need a formula for those. So hopefully that will help you. We learn text wrap and we learn merge and center. Bolding, right alignment, basic formulas, function formulas, those are called. So hopefully this will help you as you set up your budget mod. Thank you.